Hi there, everyone. Tanya Marie Figueres Preisinger over here, otherwise known as TanyaMFK. If you've been following along, then you know that I am enrolled in the 52 weeks of momentum course by Benjamin Hardy. And what I'm doing is I'm coming here every week to share the lessons, the exercises, the insights, everything that I am learning with all of you. So without further ado, just go ahead and dive in to week three's lesson. So when we're learning from Benjamin Hardy, what we get videos and they're happening each week, so they're always in real time. And he has so much information that's just in his head from all the studies and stuff that he's done. Like it's just there. So he's able to just jump in and kind of just like spew a ton of information, right? And it doesn't always necessarily have a specific structure, but it's all just like so many golden nuggets of info that you're just like, oh my gosh, right? And so what I've done is I had to kind of come back and like look at all these points as I was getting prepared to share with you guys and really see like what was the common thread and the common theme. And I think with this, what I was able to pull together is that it's really about the power of action. So if you need a course topic for week three, we're going to go ahead and call it the power of action. And that manifests in a lot of different ways. So starting with the first thing that he mentioned to us and really challenged us to do was visualizing our goals. So goal visualization, visualizing our goals. And the thing that he's talked about this is that to visualize and think, what would it look like? What would it feel like if I was to have the most productive year of my life, right? Because we're doing this for a year. What does that look like? Like really sit and visualize that. You know, what are you doing? What are you wearing? Where are you? What does that look like? Literally, what does it look like? Take a moment to really put yourself in that position. What does it look like? And as you're there visualizing, what does that feel like? Okay. Now, if this feels like foofy, like, oh, what is all this? I'm not into this. The reason for this is that visualizing your goals makes an emotional connection to them. Okay, and emotional is important. You know, if you're here for that seven levels of why, when we got into that deep level and reasons for our motivation, it becomes emotional. It becomes more than this surface level kind of thing. Like, oh, I want to do it so I can have a nice car. Well, why do you want a nice car? What's important about that? And seven levels deep, you're like, oh my gosh, this is really about, you know, something way deeper than we ever know, right? It's about saving the world or something. So the emotional connection, coming back to that and feeling that, really like experiencing it, create something so real to really understand what you're going after. But it also makes an imprint on your subconscious. It also gives your subconscious something to be like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that. That's real. It starts to become familiar with these goals and with this reasoning, this feeling, right? And you can use this emotional connection to get excited as well, right? Excitement definitely fuels the things that we do. You know, if we're excited about something, we want to do something, then we're more than likely going to follow through with it, right? So creating that emotional experience, creating that connection, creating that feeling, and really seeing it and experiencing it, also creates that excitement, which then pushes us towards our goals, right? So the first part was the visualization of goals. Now, the next section that he touched on was letting go of regret. And this can fit in all different areas of your life. For some people, it could be as simple as, you know, maybe in this first couple of weeks of even doing this course, you haven't hit all the goals that you're setting out to do. Maybe things were a little harder than you expected them. You know, you came out the gates like, well, I'm going to do everything so perfectly. If you're like me, because that's me, I'm a perfectionist. And I'm like, I have my list, like everything's going to be just like this. And surprise, it wasn't. You know, life happens as it always does. And I still didn't necessarily hit every single target the way I anticipated, no matter how driven and committed that I am. I mean, just life happens. And I have a toddler. Like, oh, okay. It's not excuses, that's just reality. So we really came in to focus and remind us of, you know, identifying and really looking at yourself to see these regrets. Now, your regrets can also be something like way deeper rooted than this. It can be something else that you may not notice every day that you're holding on to. And basically, in the most simple of terms, he encouraged us to let it go. You need to let it go. If you have regrets about where you are or where you could be, not living up to where you think you should be right now, it's time to let it go. And I know that that was a very simplistic thing to say. And so I'm going to dive a little deeper into some steps that you can take to letting it go, because letting it go, just let it go. And if it was that easy, maybe you would have done it already. So the first step, now we're going to get into this 5 steps here about letting go of regrets. And the first one is to own it. Okay? It happened. Whatever it was, it happened. You made a wrong choice, you said the wrong thing, you went in the wrong direction, whatever it was, it's done. It happened, it's done. And you know what? It's also over. It's done, it's over. Something here that I read and said the fact of the human condition is that you won't always choose wisely. You won't choose what's in your best interest every time. Sometimes you don't have the right information. Sometimes emotions overrule your thinking. Sometimes thinking overrules your guts, and you might not have enough time to consider options, or you might have had pressure on you to choose a certain way. Whatever it is, the bottom line is that conditions are not always optimal for anyone to make the perfect decision every time. Wow, right? Like, of course, you can't make the right decisions, the right things every single time. So give yourself a break. Own it. Love yourself anyway. It's done. You can't go back. You can't rewrite it. So whatever you need to do to just go through that, to be like, okay, you know what, right, it happened and it sucked. So if that's crying, if that's mourning, if that's screaming, punching pillows, whatever that is, go through it. That's fine. You're like, gosh, this damn thing happened, and you're facing it. Because you face it, you're almost like when you push it on and you're just holding on to it, or not necessarily facing it, we're facing it. Maybe this is time for the emotional response. And you're just like, do whatever you need to, okay, without harming yourself or anyone else. And get that emotion out so you can let it go. Let it go. If it sucked, let it suck. Feel that it sucks, and then let it go. Step number 2, learn from it, right? What was it that happened in that situation that led me to there? What did I decide to do with it? This is not about bashing yourself. I mean, like, well, it's because I was so stupid and it was this. Like, no, that's not what it was. Maybe you weren't like the statement before, you weren't as informed, or you didn't have the right information, or you didn't take the time to research it, right? So what you would learn is that next time I need to take the time to research it. I need to tell the person, I need a couple days, and I will not make this decision on the spot right here, right? That's what we learn from it. Not, I was stupid, I made the wrong decision. Do you see the big difference there, right? So we need to learn from it. Like I said, do you need to do a better time next time gathering information? Do you need more time to think it through? Were you being influenced by others? Were you allowing yourself to be influenced by somebody else? And maybe that's something to be aware of and address how to have that situation different next time. This is what we need learning from it. It's about what to do next time. And then write out, so now number 3, write out what you would like. So if you regret something like a relationship or a career choice or a financial decision, something like that, instead of revisiting the past, turn the attention to what you want now. Okay, so this is what it is. This is where I'm at. This is what's happened. What do I actually want though? Maybe you're like, man, this wasn't the best career choice. Okay, so are you miserable in your job? Is that the situation? Do you need to change it? Or maybe you need to change the position. It wasn't the position that you were interested in, and now it's time to move towards a different position. But instead of holding on and focusing on the regret, like, oh, I chose the wrong job, I chose the wrong job. Okay, so what can I do about now? What do I want? Now that I'm here, we've accepted it, we've owned it, I'm here and I'm in this job. What can I learn from it? Next time I need to weigh out the pros and cons of the job better. Now what do I want now? And if it's leaving, then now we know the next step. If it's a better position, if it's a different company, if it's, growth within that company, whatever that is, what is it now? Right? So write down what you actually want now. Now that you found and realized and done that situation, you know where you are. What do you want now? How can you structure it to, structure your life to now achieve the things that you want now, and paint a picture in as much detail as you can of where you would like to head. Okay, this is going to start switching your attention from focusing on this regret to focus on what you can do now. Another step, number 4, become entranced by today. Right? Live in the present moment. So allow yourself to pay attention to what's going on around you now. Engage with the world. Notice things you haven't noticed before. Be present in whatever is going on. One of the things I started trying years ago, someone had told me, I honestly don't remember, I read it, someone told me about it, but it was about this thing, kind of like the monks. I don't even know if this is true, but that the monks would, use washing dishes as like a meditative thing, because they always have to clean up and stuff. And I do know if you go and you see, they're always taking care of their area and the places, the monastery that they live. And dishes was very meditative. And it was about being aware of the water and how it feels on your hands, and aware of like the movement of each stroke and all of those things. And it may sound crazy, but dishes take on a whole different thing if you're really present in your wet hands and the feeling of the rag and all of these things. Because most times what we do, our mind is somewhere else and we're going somewhere else. We're not present with the dishes. But if you want a chance to test it out, try it with the dishes. Maybe you have a dishwasher. Test it out with a broom. Whatever mundane task, test out being present in that moment and fully aware of what's really going on around you. That's what walking meditation is, all of those things. You can't focus on what's going on in the present moment while focusing on the past. Like it doesn't work. So this is another way for you to start shifting your focus into the present moment. This can be something as wonderful and deep too as the people you're with, right? We know a big issue with everything now is like our phones, So we're sitting together and everyone's, sitting on their phones. Well, what about really being aware of the present moment and really looking at the people when they're talking to you, being aware of the color shirt that they're wearing, of the way the air feels right now, the way the room smells, if you're at a restaurant, the different things going on, the sounds, right? Being aware in that moment and not listening to them going like, yeah, oh yeah, I saw her last week. That's true. Huh. Okay. Present moment. Can't be focusing on the past when we're in the present moment or on social media. And number 5. Make a plan for something that you can do that might help to cancel out what you regret. Okay? So if the issue is, man, I regret that, not spending enough time with my kids for the first 10 years of their life. Okay. We've accepted that. We can't go back to that. What can you learn from that? How can you be present now? And what can you do that might cancel out what you regret? Can you start now? Can you start now? Yeah, you can. Because if they're age 10 now, 11, 12, 13, 14, they're still your kid. They're still your baby, right? So you can start making that change now. Maybe it's not the same thing. You can't go and play with the toys in the nursery anymore, but maybe there's a date night, a mommy and me or a daddy and me night. You guys go and get ice cream or go to the movies or something like that, right? And you can start, it's not too late. You start instituting that time now. Maybe it's something about, maybe you need to volunteer or pursue something, if maybe there's a career, like I said, career choice or something that you wanted to learn. Can you start making steps to do that thing? Maybe you always wanted to learn a language. Duolingo is free, right? Go on there and start learning the language. Set yourself up or take those courses. What can you do? So make a plan to now start to reverse that thing, right? To start working towards that thing that instead of regretting it and leaving with that regret, turn it so it's not even a regret anymore. Now it's an accomplishment. Okay? So those are the 5 steps for trying to just let it go, right? Let it go. Just let go of that regret, right? And then it might be, again, like, how is this related in the business? For most of you, at least those who know me and are in my group, our group is the business group. So these things, right? You are the entrepreneur. You are the head. All of this mental stuff, all of these things going on in you directly affect your business, directly affect your decisions, directly affect how you deal with staff, directly affect how you feel when an email campaign may not go right, or somebody unsubscribes, or sales aren't the way they're supposed to be, right? If you can manage to get these things and get yourself in order, your business will flourish. There is a direct connection to why we're talking about regrets in a business thing. Now, Benjamin Hardy's course itself is not just for business. There's definitely leanings towards that because he himself is an entrepreneur and he's working towards a lot of entrepreneurial goals. But people in the group are also simply there for their own life purposes and have nothing to do with the business, okay? So this is for everyone, but there is definitely a connection to business as well because we are our businesses, right? Most of us are all solopreneurs, and we're definitely a business. And even if you're not, again, your staff, all of these things, this affects all of those things, okay? So moving on from letting go of regrets, the next section is setting a morning routine. Now, this is not the first time we've talked about this, right? I mean, we've talked about a morning routine for ages in the 52 weeks momentum. Also, if you're part of Biz Builders group, this is something that I adamantly am so serious about and live by, and Benjamin Hardy also as well. The difference this time is that he's talked about it, we've talked about it, we talked about it. This is now the first time it's been required. He finally went, okay, we've talked about it enough, guys. It is time to set a morning routine. You must do this if you're going to succeed. So it was implied but not required. Now we've shifted. It's definitely required. So one of the big concepts he talks about here is when you wake up in a reactive state. What that means is even if you just wake up naturally, right? Like you don't set an alarm at all and you're just like, I'm just gonna wake up when I feel it. You wake up to also whatever's going on around you. That's reactive, right? So maybe the kids are already up, or maybe you don't have kids. Maybe it's just the garbage truck or something that you hear outside. It's just kind of happening, and then you have to sit there and kind of guess, like, oh, okay, what's going on? What am I doing, right? It's a reactive state. It's kind of chaotic, even if you do have an alarm, right? You set an alarm and it's 5 minutes before you're supposed to run out the door. Then you wake up and it's like, okay, I gotta get ready. I gotta do this. I gotta grab that. I gotta grab my bag, grab it all, run out the door. Oh, I'm reacting to the necessities of work. I'm reacting to all this, right? There's no planning. You're only reacting. You have to just deal with what's next. What's the next step? Oh, I gotta do this. The morning routine is setting yourself up to have a good day. It's not just setting yourself up to have a good day. It's setting yourself up so that the first moment of the day is yours. It's not reacting to any other input, anyone else's agenda, anyone's anything. It is you and your time. I know for me, it's a lot easier to wake up to an alarm that's set for me, for my time, not for a job, not for even an appointment, even if it's something like that's for me, it's like a chiropractic appointment or something. When I know it's like I'm waking up so I can have tea, I'm waking up so I can do my yoga or read my book, whatever your jam is, whatever your thing is, right? When you are setting yourself up to have that time, it's a hell of a lot easier to wake up. So much easier to wake up. You're like, this is for me, it's my time. Flip side, it's also easier for you to say, I'm not that important, and sleep in and make sleep more important, which you end up not even necessarily feeling that rested anyway, right? So that's a whole other thing we're going to talk about. But you need to set yourself up to have a good day, and a morning routine is a huge, huge part of this. When I was 21, around about, I think I first had my first kind of experience with this. I was definitely not a morning person by that time. Like I struggled at getting up like by 9, let alone being 5 a.m., 4:15. I used to do that too. But I had a coffee machine, right? And it had a timer, right? It was really advanced for me. And I could set the coffee machine to go off a little before I would wake up, right? And I thought this was amazing. So I would buy like hazelnut coffee, that was my thing, and hazelnut coffee, and I would have it just so it would basically, the aroma of the coffee would be the first thing I smelled when my alarm went off. And it was so much easier to wake up when I smelled that coffee than when I just got up, right? I would just get up and I'd be like, and then, oh yeah, I have delicious coffee waiting for me. Oh my gosh. And I got up. I got up because the first thing was like delicious coffee. It wasn't like, ugh, work, figure it out, right? Totally big difference. So I looked forward to waking up because it was my time, and sleeping meant giving up that time. It didn't mean extra sleep, and that is why I get up the way I do now. I progressed from my coffee machine now to also my alarms. My alarms, most of my friends can attest that my alarm is like the quietest, softest alarm ever. As a matter of fact, for a bazillion years, it's been either an Iron and Wine song or the song Sunrise. I don't even know if that's the actual name of the song, but Sunrise with Nora Jones. I'm not going to sing it, but literally for years has been that, and it's just the most calmest thing. And a lot of my friends are like, that would never wake me up. I'm like, oh yeah, it wakes me up. As soon as I hear that nice calming thing, I'm like, oh, it's time for my time. Love it. Right? So another thing that he pointed out with the morning routines is that it's not about quantity of sleep, it's about quality of sleep, right? So a big issue people have with the morning routines is waking up early because they have all these things. The morning routine usually is, there's things that you want to do, right? It's a routine of tasks, usually, positive tasks that you like to do, but it requires getting up early. And everyone's biggest problem is, but I'm so tired. I want to sleep. I want to sleep. And he points out that it's not about the quantity of sleep, but about the quality of sleep. And a quality of sleep is a mind that can be at rest. So if you feel good when you've laid your head down, meaning you've had a good day, you feel a sense of accomplishment, you're going to sleep better. You're going to sleep more sound. Now, I don't know if any of you have had this. I certainly have, especially with having a baby. Sometimes I can sleep for 8 hours and I wake up and I'm still feeling like I'm dragging my feet. There's other times I can have 5 hours, which is definitely not a recommended amount of time. But I slept like a brick and I wake up feeling way rested. And I'm usually very surprised. What time is it? There's no way I should feel this rested right now, but I feel amazing. And some of you might have even experienced a further stuff where you're like, well, it's so early, I could just keep sleeping. And then you do, and you actually don't even feel that, you don't feel better. Sometimes you even feel more tired if you push it till another 3 hours, right? Because you're like, well, I can get that 8 hours of sleep. And it didn't even work out. So that's a whole other thing, right? Quality of sleep, not quantity of sleep. If the first time when you lay down, if that's the first time you've given your mind a chance to do its own thing, because most of us do, right? We're taking input all day. We're reacting all day. We're not giving our mind a moment to just think. Most of us aren't meditating. We're not journaling. We're not letting our brain have its time, right? We're constantly telling it to shut up, shh, I have stuff to tell you. Listen to me. We're the worst friends ever to our brains. Me, don't want to tell you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to tell you my problems, okay? And you don't give your mind a chance to help you out, think about it, do anything, say anything. So you lay down, and that's the common complaint. I have my mind just going. I can't stop thinking. Then you start thinking about how you can't sleep, and then you start thinking about how you're gonna, not wake up on time, and how you're gonna be so tired, and then you just stress yourself out, and blah, blah, blah. Hello, because it's the first time you've given your brain a moment to do anything. So it's just gonna go on. It's phew, finally, she shut up, and now I'm gonna go. And now you can't sleep. So this is another reason why starting your day off with an amazing morning routine, hopefully incorporating some of these moments to give your mind, and having a great day also leads to having a good night, which then leads to good sleep, which leads to your next good morning, right? It's all a cycle. It's all a cycle. If you end your day with too much in your mind, it's going to carry over and you have less desire to wake up the next day. So if you want to sleep better, make yourself have a better day. That's what I was just kind of saying, right? Make yourself have a better day. And you do this through morning routines. Morning routines. So when you wake up, put the first things first. One article that we recommended last week, and he recommended again this week if you haven't read it, is Getting into Peak States. If you're part of the accountability group, you guys will have this posted in your lessons. So it's Getting into Peak States. Again, you just Google Benjamin Hardy, Getting into Peak States, you'll find it. It's a great article. Another thing that he mentions in this whole concept of morning routines is pre-performance routines. He kind of goes into a little idea and talking about the concept of pre-performance routines. And this is something that you'll see is especially prevalent within the sports industry and really high elite athletes. One common trait is that they all have a pre-performance routine. They all usually repeat the same thing. And this isn't the superstitious thing. We're not talking about the dirty sock thing, right? We're talking about the thing that they do every time to get ready for whatever it is they do, for a game, for a competition, whatever it is they do, they're doing the same thing. They have the same workout, they get prepped the same way, they have the same meal. He goes on to talk about Michael Phelps, top swimmer in the world, and how he eats the same meal and he listens to hip hop for an hour because hip hop gets him pumped up and ready to go, and he doesn't switch it out. He likes other kind of music, but his pre-performance routine is always hip hop, and that's the thing that he knows gets him into the peak state for him to enter into his competition, for him to get into the water. Right? So this is your pre-performance routine. Your morning routine is that thing that gets you ready to go. He also used this concept of pre-performance routines for those of us journaling. he mentions that, you know, having this peak state, which you'll learn more about in the article there, that having this peak state is really helpful to be there in order for you to journal, for you to really get the most out of journaling. And a lot of people express that they were having kind of a difficult time figuring out this peak state, how to get to that, you know, especially if they're journaling first thing in the morning. So he used this concept of a pre-performance routine to help with that as well. So if there are a couple steps that, you know, just put yourself into this peak state, into this good feeling, this zone, right, if you will, then do this, use this type of pre-performance routine before you open your journal. So that's what we went through with that. My morning routine, just as an example, like I call it my start of day. I actually write down in my organizer SOD. I have my SODs, which is start of day, and my EODs, end of day. I've mentioned this in one of the other videos. And just an example, mine is, you know, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. That's my goal. Not always hitting the mark there, guys, but that's the goal. And I have it all set up for the timing there. And I wake up and journal. That's the first thing. That's, for me, that works. I don't need the pre-performance thing, at least not yet. I do 5-minute yoga, right? Because I really want to do yoga in the morning, but the whole like hour thing just isn't cutting it. And I try to do 10 minutes. Sometimes it works, but like 5 minutes, I can always seem to squeeze in the 5 minutes. It works, right? It works for me, and then it makes me feel good. 5 minutes of meditation, same thing, right? I did a silent retreat once, and I meditated 11 hours a day. Yes, it's a real thing, but it's a really hard thing for me to carry over, even getting like 20 minutes in my life now. So I, right now, am focusing on 5 minutes, and I can do 5 minutes, 5 minutes a day. So far, so good. Goal visualization and writing. That is something he had mentioned before. He just wasn't really pushing it. And so this is something I've incorporated into my morning routine. So I am doing the goal visualization, and then I write again after I've had that, just to see if anything else comes to my brain. I then have breakfast and family time because I'm up before the family. So once I do all this, I know approximately what time they're going to be getting up. Sometimes it's a toddler, unpredictable, but a roundabout. And so when that time happens, that's when we eat together and I have family time together. And after that, I've set, this is the time that I'll begin work. Now, those things fluctuate. Sometimes it's going to be different depending on maybe the night before, but that's why I also have an end of day routine. So the end of day, I can assess, am I getting to sleep at a decent time? Am I really going to wake up at 5 tomorrow? And if I'm not, then I can know how to adjust those hours. I can know what to really expect tomorrow, if I need to cut something down or if I need to move something up, whatever it is. I know how to prep and prepare the next day. I'm not going to work till 2 a.m. and go, I'm going to wake up at 5, and then be surprised when that doesn't happen and the schedule's going to crap, right? I can use that end of day routine to also figure out what the next day is going to look like, what's realistic and what's going to happen. And when you look at that and you prepare for that, not only are you more consistent in your morning routines, you accomplish more, you don't feel like you're behind the gun all the time, the stress levels go down. I mean, it's just, they work together. Like you protect your morning by having a good end of day routine as well. Okay, so he touches base on this a little bit, but the focus is really morning routines, but honestly, you can't have one without the other. So end of day routines. I have end of day activities as well. I do end of day journaling, so I have that set up as like one of my little, I have a checklist of things that I do. I do the setting a request to my subconscious. We talked about that in lesson 2, and this is something that Benjamin Hardy talks about very often. I enter into my food log because I'm part of the 90-day weight loss challenge that is in our group as well, and that's a big focus for me, is the weight loss. So I do a food tracking log, and so I make sure I remember to enter into that, so it's part of my end of day routine. And I get my clothes ready for the next day. Yes, it's like a school kid, I know, but if I'm getting up early and everyone's sleeping, I don't want to be rummaging through drawers. It's just so nice to just like be able to take my stuff and my little yoga thing, everything, and it's just, I can walk out the room and it's ready. So for me, that's important. So I do that. So with this, there's a recommendation for an article, and it's 8 things you should do before 8 a.m. 8 things you should do before 8 a.m. And that, again, of course, is a Benjamin Hardy article. So check that out. That, again, is going to be part of your required reading accountability group. So you'll see that. Now, for the big, like, bomb, okay? 5 a.m. club. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, it is exactly what it sounds like. 5 a.m. club. This was our biggest challenge to start to change and implement into our lives. I used to get up really, really early. I used to get up really, really late. I've been all over the map. I fell in love with waking up early. Then I had a baby, and it doesn't really always work. But I am really focused on bringing this back into my life because I know how beneficial it is. It's just crazy, crazy, crazy. It's just crazy how helpful this really is. Like I can't stress that enough. So we were invited / challenged to join the 5 a.m. club. I know I was once a non-believer as well. Like I said, I'm going to tell you a quick story because I think it's funny. I had a trainer once, and I used to go every day at 9 a.m. And my trainer actually called me one day. She said, "Hey Tanya, I just noticed that you signed up for the 6 a.m. class, and I just wanted to make sure if you're really coming that early today or tomorrow, or if it was just you just mixed it up." And I was like, "Let me tell you something right now. If you ever see me trying to go to a 6 a.m. class, one of two things have happened. One, I've taken up meth, and you should be really concerned. Or two, I've literally just lost my damn mind. Again, you should be concerned." So she said, 9 a.m.? Yes, 9 a.m. That'll happen, right? And 9 a.m. was pushing it for me. 9 a.m. was already pushing it. But 6 a.m., that was never going to happen. So I thought. Then I went on a trip and a journey to China for a year where I started waking up at 4:15 a.m. on my own. Like I chose that. Like I didn't have to be doing something until 5:30. I started getting up even earlier before that so I could have a morning routine. Yeah, but no one believed me, but it was totally true. And I woke up at 4:15 in the morning, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So you don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. in order to have a morning routine. So let's make that clear. You don't have to get up. People have a host of situations or obligations that may make it impossible for their lives right now, and that's life, right? That's exactly what that is. Maybe you're even working at 5 a.m. It doesn't mean you need to start getting up at 3. But having this routine and instituting whatever time you can is definitely important. At the same time, we were very encouraged to push beyond what we think is possible for us. If you're like, well, I'm always going to sleep. It's just impossible for me to go to sleep at that early to wake up at 5. Is it? Or is it worth a try? Is it worth a shot to see what you can push yourself to do? So yes, there are extenuating circumstances where it may be just not the right time to try this in your life right now. But if it's a matter of just a level of comfortability or not believing that's something you can do, you're definitely encouraged to push yourself through that, beyond that, and see what you can really accomplish. There's a video. It is called the 5 a.m. Club with Robin Sharma. You can look it up on YouTube. It's everywhere. It is about 15 minutes long, and it is highly, highly, highly encouraged. Even if you're thinking about it, or even if you've decided completely against it, I'd say still watch that video. It's amazing, just the connections that are made with waking up at this time and the string of successful people and the consistency of their success with doing that. So if nothing else, it might be a great conversation starter for you at a party to talk about crazy people that wake up at 5 a.m. Okay, so please watch it. 5 a.m. Club with Robin Sharma. Again, accountability group. Don't worry, you will be watching it. There will be a link below this video, so make sure you have that in there too so you can check it out. So that was the 5 a.m. Club. Now, wrapping some of this up here, we go back to the power of action. This was kind of like a little bit of a monologue that he went on, and I think there were a lot of really good nuggets of information in this. So I'm going to try, without taking too much of your time, go through this because, again, there were just so many great pieces that they were so helpful to hear. So hopefully you will find that same stuff here. First one was when you have a morning routine, you get up early, you start to appreciate the environment around you because you are appreciating yourself and your time. And when you appreciate the environment around you and you appreciate yourself in your own time, you start to feel more positive. And when you start to feel more positive, you start to see the situations around you more positively, right? It starts to compound. And it's not that it's necessarily changed. You've changed, right? You're able to see things through a different filter. You're able to see things not as like, oh gosh, this is happening to me. You can look and say, well, that's happened. Now what can I do about it, right? All of a sudden it's like, it's not so bad, right? You're going to start to naturally let go of activities that are holding you back. You're going to start to notice them easier and be like, oh, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. That doesn't help me, right? You might even start talking like that and just, I'm just kidding. Maybe you will, I don't know. But you're going to start removing the things in your life that aren't as enjoyable or even essential, right? A lot of us are doing things that aren't essential, sometimes out of habit, sometimes out of just unconsciously, we're not even thinking about it. We just do it. And with this, we were encouraged to start to assess the quality of our time, right? To really start to look at the quality of your time. Now, for those of you, the accountability group, you'll notice that last week, this was actually a requirement for us to sit and assess what was this the quality of the time, like what percentage of our time we're spending on things that we dislike, hate, despise, just that suck us of energy. How much time we're spending on things that are just okay, and how much time we're spending on things that fascinate us and motivate us, right? And a lot of people are like, well, I have to do stuff I hate all the time, right? And we kind of have this cynical view of it. Really sit down and evaluate your time, because when you can see it in numbers don't lie. When you sit down and see it in numbers, and you're like, okay, I'm literally spending 75% of my time on stuff I hate. Maybe it's time to really reevaluate what's going on in your life. Because if you're spending your time, 75% of your time, or it doesn't have to be that extreme, but on stuff you don't like, what do you think that does to you? What do you think that does to the people around you, around your environment around you? So really, really encourage you to take a week and assess the percentage of time that you spent on things that you completely dislike, things that are just okay, and things that you actually love, that motivate you and fascinate you. Okay, so that was another little part that he threw in there. He also mentioned that Dan Sullivan, who is a top business coach of like the world, that his whole focus with his clients and groups and these successful entrepreneurs and business people is shifting them from using their time from doing things that they dislike to shifting to only what fascinates and motivates them, right? And this, you might be like, again, that must be a luxury. But when you start to think about that, these are the things where these innovators, they think and they come up with these amazing things because they're taking their time and they're focusing on the things that excite them and motivate them. Exactly, right? So they come up with these great things, right? If you spend time on fascinating things, you yourself become fascinating, right? It's hard for people. It's hard for I'm just gonna tell us. Hopefully, he doesn't get upset with me. But it's hard for my husband when we travel a lot, we do things, and people, he'll tell them somewhere he's been, and they go, "Wow, like that's amazing," and he's like, he doesn't see it as that amazing. He doesn't see it as that fascinating. And I tell him, like, you don't understand. There's a lot of people who don't go after and just do this because they want to do it. You do this because this is what you want to do. So you don't see it as this huge stretch, but people can look at that and be like, wow, like you're just doing it. You just want to do it. Like, so he's doing it. He just went and lived in China. He just went and did this, or he just went and traveled there. And it's fascinating. So like, he is an example of that. People, you do fascinating things. Again, whether he considers it fascinating or not, people do consider that fascinating. He becomes fascinating. It's pretty fun. I think he's kind of awesome. It's fascinating. All right. So there was that. When you build your life around you to meet your goals and your dreams, then your dreams and your goals become real, right? When you build your life around you to meet your goals and your dreams and your goals become real. Isn't that amazing? It's like a Disney thing almost. Like there's some little characters should be saying that. So it might sound crazy or far-fetched or unattainable right now, but the big part is that the mindset is that you've set your mindset to believe that it has to be this way. Okay, so like even with the things with the scenario I gave with my husband, like it was like, oh, I couldn't do that. I hear that a lot too, even with our lifestyle of travel. I can't do that. That's just not what I can do right now. Well, then that's true. If that's the mindset that you've set and that's what you believe, then it's not true. Then it's true. That's not for you. You can't do it because that's what you believe. We are not, we don't have private jets or doing, running around the world spending millions of dollars a day. We're spending millions of dong because we're in Vietnam, but not the same thing. Millions a day. But we have this lifestyle because we know that we can and we believe that we can and it's what we want. And so we make it happen, right? We make it happen. And so we set the life around us to be able to do what we want to do. Okay, so you need to upgrade this thinking through your action and start seeing that you can push yourself to accomplish the things that you want. And you start replacing this limiting mindset. That is a huge, huge part of getting through and accomplishing doing these things. There is research that shows if you engage in successful behaviors, you will become successful. That's the concept of the do, be, have. All right, and Benjamin Hart has talked about this before. A lot of times, we have it backwards. We think we have to have something in order to be something, and then we can do something. And a lot of research shows it's the other way around. If you just start doing it, then we start to become it, and then we have it, right? So engage in powerful ways. Your subconscious will start to adapt powerful thinking, right? So you can start to train it. You're not a fixed mindset. You can start training to be this powerful person and have powerful things happen. So create and accept big goals. You will begin to know and believe you can achieve these goals, right? Acting in powerful ways. There's a few things here. How can you act in powerful ways? If you're not feeling confident, creative, motivated, it's because your actions are not leading to those outcomes. If you're not feeling confident, creative, motivated, it's because your actions are not leading to those outcomes. Those things are outcomes, right? They're not things you just have. We create motivation. We create creativity. We create confidence. They are outcomes of acting in powerful ways. So take action before you feel ready. Okay? If we waited all the time until we felt ready for something, we'd have a bunch of people still in the womb, right? No one would be born. Because when are we ready? When are you really ready for anything? You need to take action before you feel ready. Act powerfully before you feel ready, and you will become powerful, right? So I'm going to recap this. That was it. I know it's a lot today. It was a little long today. But he gave us a lot of information, guys, and I'm just the messenger here. Okay, I'm doing my best, just the messenger. So let's recap this really fast. The lessons for week 3 here are you need a morning routine laid out. It's no longer an option if you're part of the group as I am. Of course, for you guys, it's, do you. It's up to you. Accountability group, it's no longer an option as well. So this will be required. Need a morning routine, get it laid out. You guys will see the link of where you're going to enter that in. You have 3 articles to read. So it's getting into peak states. It was also mentioned in the last lesson, but if you haven't read it, go out and do it. 8 things to do before 8 a.m. That's article number 2. Article number 3, how to consistently act from your deepest why and optimize your time. This one is basically the one that's going to relate to the concept of, assessing your time. How much are you spending on what you dislike, what's okay, and what fascinates you, right? So that's where that article comes in. How to consistently act from your deepest why and optimize your time. The next thing there is joining the 5 a.m. club. Yes, yes, yes. Highly, highly encourage it. It will change your life. I don't know. It's such a simple task. And you won't. Eventually, you're not going to be tired from it all the time. You're going to go to sleep early enough because you know you got to get up at 5 a.m. And you do it. If you could do it for an employer, why not do it for yourself, right? And change your life instead of just changing theirs and being an awesome employee, right? It will change your life. Next thing we talked about was assessing your time, how much you're spending on what you love, what fascinates you, stuff you hate. What can you change? So look at that and say, if you look at the end of the week and you're like, I am literally spending 75% on what I don't like, then what can you change? How can you change that instead of accepting and believing that it's just the way it is? And, are you living your best life, or are you just tolerating it? Are you living your best life, or are you just tolerating life? So it's time to shift your focus to the stuff that fascinates, motivates you, and what you love. Build your life around you to live your passion and your dreams. A lot of people go, but I can't. Well, your life is a product of what you believe and what you tolerate. It's what you think, and whatever you think, that's where you're going to be. So if you think you can't travel, then you're not going to travel. If you think you can't get that job, you're not going to get that job. So if you can't shift your thinking, then this is what you're going to live like, and you're gonna live a life of what you believe you deserve. You have to take action to become who you want to become. Remember, be, do, have. And lastly, we did get a book recommendation, and it is The Art of Learning by Joshua Waitzkin. That's how you pronounce it, Joshua Waitzkin. The Art of Learning. This kind of encompasses, I think, some of the 5 a.m. stuff and all the other things. Of course, I haven't read it. If I can't keep up with all these books, so I'm still reading a Cal Newport book. So good they can't ignore you. That's what I'm reading right now. But anyway, if you guys are subscribed to the book reading list, then you'll see that's on there as well. So thank you guys so much for hanging in there. Like I said, we have a little 15 minutes over that we normally go. But like I said, it was jam-packed with a lot of golden nuggets. I hope that you found something that really works for you. If you're not already part of Biz Builders group, please come on Facebook and join us at facebook.com/wearebizbuilders. You'll get these recaps there, but we also do live lessons every week. lots of tips, business tips, support, and things to helping you go forward in your dreams and being an entrepreneur and just being awesome in life. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to click that red subscribe button so you'll be notified when we have our next lesson up. All right. Thank you guys again for spending all this time with me, and go out and have an amazing week. All right. Bye-bye.